We are starting language arts. We are actually going to do our sentence this week. Because of the craziness last week, we did not even do any language arts because...
Wait, what craziness? Pictures?
So, the book is Thunder Cake. Who read it? Who wants to read it to me one more time out loud? Cole. Good. I also, if you do not have your blue sheet, I have it written on the whiteboard that you can just write on top of a lined sheet of paper so that you'll have for the remaining of exercises for the week. So, I'm going to read the story called Thunder Cake by Patricia Polacco. Now, what are you noticing about the front of the cover? What is something different that you notice? Owen. It's on a farm. I think that is a very good guess. What about the clothing? Do they look like clothing that we wear?
No.
So what do you think it's maybe from times past? Maybe a different country? Which one do you think? Winsheen? Maybe. Who thinks maybe a different country? Yeah, I think it's a good, those are both two good guesses that we need to find out. And maybe it isn't from the past and they just dress that way. I don't know. Oh dear, I lost my glasses. I put them back there. So, here we go. On a sultry, what does it mean to sultry? Summer day. What does sultry mean? Toby. Who wants to guess what sultry means? On sultry summer days. Winsheen. Yes, hot. Really, really hot. At my grandma's farm in Michigan. Where's Michigan? Is that the United States or is that a different country? Tessa? Yeah. In fact, we are very close to Michigan. It's in the Midwest. The air gets damp and heavy. Storm clouds drift low over the fields. Birds fly close to the ground. Oh, I could just picture that weather. Who can even remember summer days when it gets really humid and the air feels heavy and you can just tell that it's going to storm? You could almost, if you move your hands, you can almost feel like you're moving the air. It's so humid. I don't like days like that, but you know what? I would take it over winter. The clouds glow for an instant with a sharp, crackling light, and then a roaring, low, tumbling sound of thunder makes the window shudder in their panes. The sound used to scare me when I was little. I loved to go to Grandma's house. Babushka, as I used to call my grandma, had come from Russia years before. But I feared Michigan storms. Summer storms. I feared the sound of thunder more than anything. I always hid under the bed when the storm moved near the farmhouse. This is the story of how my grandma, my babushka, helped me overcome my fear of thunderstorms. Who's afraid of thunderstorms? It's all right if you are, if you don't like them. Or maybe not fear, but who doesn't like them? I like them during the daytime where I can see them. I don't particularly like them when I'm in bed trying to sleep and the thunder wakes me up in the middle of the night.
I can't sleep through a storm.
What comes first, thunder or lightning? What comes first, thunder or lightning? James?
Thunder.
Yes. I had to think about
No, it's lightning. It's lightning.
You see the lightning and then you hear the thunder later. So you see the lightning, and I forget, I was taught, do you count to 10? No, you count. And then you know how far away the storm is from you.
Yeah.
So you see the lightning first, and then later you hear the thunder. So here we go. I am very curious how babushka, which is a Russian name for grandmother. I love that. I love to say that, babushka.
Babushka.
It's a very fun name to say, a fun word to say, babushka, kind of like Francisco. Grandma looked at the horizon, drew a deep breath, and said, "This is thunder cake baking weather, all right. Looks like a storm coming to me." Oh, you can see it. In fact, you can see the rain is falling in the distance. What is a thunder cake? Child, you come out of it from under that bed. It's only thunder you're hearing, my grandma said. See, she's hiding right there under the bed.
Yeah, we've read this in library.
The air was hot, heavy, and damp. A loud clap of thunder shook the house, rattled the windows, and made me grab her close. Very good. "Steady, child," she cooed. "Unless you let me go of me, we won't be able to make a thunder cake today." "Thunder cake?" I stammered as I hugged her even closer. "Don't pay attention to that old thunder except to see how close the storm is getting. When you see the lightning, start counting, real slow. When you hear the thunder, stop counting. That number is how many miles away the storm is. Understand?" she asked. "We need to know how far away the storm is so we have time to make the cake and get it into the oven before the storm comes, or it won't be real thunder cake." Ooh, that sounds interesting. Her eyes surveyed the black clouds and away off in the distance. Then she strode into the kitchen. Her worn hands pulled a thick book from the shelf above the wood stove. "Let's find that recipe, child," she crowed as she lovingly fingered the grease-stained pages to a creased spot. "Here it is, thunder cake." She carefully penned the ingredients on a piece of paper. "Now, let's gather all the things we'll need," she exclaimed as she scurried toward the back door. We were by the door when a huge bolt of lightning flashed. I started counting like Grandma told me to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the thunder roared. Ooh, what is that? Who remembers what that is? Grayson.
Onomatopoeia.
Yes, onomatopoeia. Good job. 10 miles. It's 10 miles away, Grandma said as she looked at the sky. About an hour away, I'd say. You'll have to hurry, child. Gather them eggs careful like, she said. Eggs from mean old Nellie Peck Hen. I was scared. I knew she would try to peck me. I'm here. She won't hurt you. Just get them eggs, Grandma said softly. The lightning flashed again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I counted. 9 miles, Grandma reminded me. Milk was next. Milk from old Kick Cow. As Grandma milked her, Kick Cow turned and looked mean right at me. I was scared. She looked so big. Zip went the lightning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I counted. Broom went the thunder. 8 miles, child, Grandma croaked. Now we have to get chocolate, ooh, yes, and sugar and flour from the dry shed. From the dry shed? What is a dry shed? Can't they just go into their pantry? Owen.
There's dry stuff.
Yeah, it's like a area where they keep all their dry stuff. So do you think it has to be nice and dry, or is it moist and wet?
Nice and dry.
Yes, otherwise they'll spoil. I was scared as we walked down the path from the farmhouse through tangleweed woods to the dry shed. Suddenly, the lightning slit the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I counted. Boom, ba-boom, crashed the thunder. It scared me a lot, but I kept walking with Grandma. I like the goat.
Same.
Another jagged edge of lightning flashed as I crept into the dry shed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I counted. Crackle, crackle, boom, kaboom. The thunder bellowed. It was dark, and I was scared. I'm here, child, Grandma said softly from the doorway. Hurry now, we haven't got much time. We've got everything but the secret ingredient. Ooh.
Maybe chocolate.
No, they already got the chocolate. Remember, they were getting the chocolate, the sugar, and the flour. Maybe thunder. They're going to put thunder in there. 3 overripe tomatoes and some strawberries?
What?
Grandma whispered as she squinted at the list. I climbed up high on the trellis. The ground looked a long way down. I was scared. I'm here, child, she said. Her voice was steady and soft. You won't fall. I reached 3 luscious tomatoes while she picked strawberries. Lightning again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I counted. Kabang! Boom! Boom! The thunder growled. Ooh. Yikes. We hurried back to the house in the warm kitchen and we measured the ingredients. I poured them into the mixing bowl while Grandma mixed. I churned butter for the frosting and melted chocolate. Finally, we poured the batter into the cake pans and put them into the oven together. Lightning lit the kitchen. I only counted to 3, and the thunder rumbled and crashed. 3 miles away, Grandma said, the cake is in the oven. We made it. We'll have real thunder cake. Interesting.
Still.
I don't know what I'm thinking about the tomatoes in the cake.
That's
Interesting.
I just noticed that it's counting down how much miles it's getting.
Uh-huh, very good. Ooh, you can see the rain in the horizon. As we waited for the cake, Grandma looked out the window for a long time. Why you aren't afraid of the thunder? You're too brave, she said as she looked right at me. I'm not brave, Grandma, I said. I was under the bed, remember? But you got out from under it, she answered. And you got eggs from mean old Nellie Peckhen, and you got milk from old Kit Cow. You went through Tanglewood Woods to the dry shed. You climbed the trellis in the backyard. From where I sit, only a very brave person could have done all of those things. I thought and thought as the storm rumbled closer. She was right. I was brave. Brave people can't be afraid of a sound, child, she said as we spread out the tablecloth and set the table. When we were done, we hurried into the kitchen to take the cake out of the oven. After the cake had cooled, we frosted it. Yummy. Thunder cake. That actually sounds good. She put the strawberries on the top. Just then, the lightning flared, and this time it lit the whole sky. Even before the last flash had faded, the thunder rolled, boomed, crashed, ba-ba-roomed just above us. The storm was here. Perfect, Grandma cooed. Just perfect. She beamed as she added the last strawberry to the glistening chocolate frosting on top of the thunder cake. Ooh, that looks delicious.
Yeah,
That is a beautiful, beautiful cake.
I'm still wondering about the tomato.
Me too. I don't know what I think about that. As the rain poured down on our roof, Grandma cut a wedge for each of us. She poured us steaming cups of tea from the sambar. which is this. It is on her. This is something that they make tea in.
Wow. My grandma has one of those.
Yeah.
I don't.
When the thunder roared above us so hard it shook the windows and rattled the dishes in the cupboard, we just smiled and ate our thunder cake. From that time on, I never feared the voice of thunder again. Ooh, and then there's the recipe for Grandma's thunder cake. Ooh, cream together one at a time, 1 cup shortening, sugar, vanilla, 3 eggs, 1 cup cold water, 1/3 cup pureed tomatoes.
Oh.
I bet you don't even taste the tomatoes. Sip together cake flour, cocoa, baking soda, and salt. I know, we should make it.
Yeah.
Bake in 2 grease, bake 350 for 35 to 40 minutes. Frost with chocolate butter frosting. Whew. Top with strawberries. Yum. That is, I bet you, my guess is, friends, is that you don't even taste the tomatoes. They just make the cake really, really moist. So, I should try that. I might have to take a picture of this recipe and try it. So, why do you think the little girl is no longer afraid in this book of thunder? What did Grandma Babushka teach her? Why did she no longer fear thunder after this story was done?
Because Babushka pointed out that he was brave.
What did she do that made her brave? She did several things. What did she do that Babushka, I love to say Babushka, said, what did she do that made her brave? Name one, Grayson.
Got milk from the cow.
Yes, not just any old cow, old kick cow. Kick like kick. So that was one. What else did she do? Owen.
Went out to the forest and got into the trash.
Yes. It's kind of scary to go into the woods anyway, but then when there's a storm coming, that's even doubly scary. So she went to Tangled Weed Woods to the dry shed. Very good. What else did she do? She did something else. When Sheen. Right, she climbed the trellis and she got the tomatoes. So that was another thing. And what was the last thing? She had to gather from another animal. Olivia.
She had to get some eggs from
Old Nellie Peckhen. I like the names. So she did all these things despite being afraid. What did that give her? If you're scared of something and you are able to face it, and in this case, do other things while you are afraid, what does that give you, Jonathan?
courage.
Yes. And confidence. So what else, I think, helped the little girl? What exercise did Grandma tell her to do? If you see the lightning, what are you supposed to do? Emmy. Yes.
I'm definitely going to try that.
So, Babushka said, what you need to do, you see the lightning, and then you count, and that tells you what? What does that tell you? How many what the storm is? Gabe? Yes. So what was Babushka having the little girl do? So she found her under the bed, and then she immediately did all these things. She said, we're going to make thunder cake. So we gathered the eggs, we got the milk, we went to the dry shed, we climbed the trellis and got the tomatoes. We did all these things. What was that keeping the little girl from thinking about? Cole.
Thunder.
The storm, yes. So she occupied her mind. She did things. She kept busy. Because if she stayed under the bed, what would she have done? She stayed and hid under the bed. She'd be listening for the thunder. What would happen? James. She wouldn't be doing anything. Instead, she would be focusing on what? She would be focusing on, Christian? Yes. Who has ever been scared? And I tell you, when it's the worst is at night when you're laying in bed and you think you hear something.
Yeah.
And you just lay there in the darkness listening.
Yes.
Listening.
Yeah.
And you think about it. Shh. And you think about it. And your brain says all these crazy things. Maybe there's somebody coming in my house. There's something there. It's a ghost. It's a monster. Whatever. And your brain goes with that, and then it doesn't shut off. Who has had that happen to them before? Or it doesn't matter to be dark. Anytime you're scared and you don't do anything and you just focus on what you're scared of, whatever the fear is, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon it's a giant monster in the room.
Dun, dun.
So, yes, dun, dun, dun. So Babushka had the little girl occupy her mind, do other things, make a cake, gather ingredients, count. She gave her something to do. And then she wasn't afraid anymore. Very wise Babushka. Emma.
When it's night and there's a storm, and it wakes me up, I just look out my window, but then I start to see things, and there's like this person walking.
Yes, your brain can imagine all kinds of things. Especially if it's at night and if you're afraid and you're just laying there, your brain can take you on all kinds of adventures. So the best thing you can do is, if you can't go to sleep, maybe get a book or do something that is going to take your mind off of what you're afraid of, just like Babushka did for the little girl. And now the little girl is not afraid of a thunderstorm anymore. Yes, Em.
So there's this one night I was laying in bed, and then like I heard this thing, and I thought someone was trying to break into our house. And so I prayed, and then listened to 1 and 2.5, then I fell asleep.
Good point. That is something else that you should do first, is to pray. Because God is always there for you, right? Good point, Em. Thanks for bringing that up. Luke.
Okay, so it's kind of something like this. So basically, I was in grade once, and basically, like our school had like a fire.
Ooh.
So we had to move to a school, but it was still the same teachers and classmates.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad we all got out.
But there was some problem.
Uh,
There was this house next to the school that it was abandoned, and there was a doll from the 80s. Oh, we feel whenever you looked inside of it. And then when I woke up to that dream, I felt like something was behind me, because behind myself is like a wall, but behind the wall there's like a massive forest, and it's like a woods. So I was freaked out by that, and then I stayed awake the whole night, just sitting there for like 7 hours.
yeah, it's... So what is something that you could have done instead of sitting there dwelling on your fear? Like what Em said, you could pray, put on some music,
And that's
go
what I
get
did.
your mom and dad and help,
Yeah.
because moms and dads will help you. And but the worst thing you can do is just sit there and let your imagination go wild. And Babushka knew that, and that's why she got the little girl to do other things, which was brilliant. Olivia.
Usually, what I do before bed is I read like a book for like 10 minutes or 15, and then I put the book back on my dresser, and then I lay on my side, and then I close my eyes, and then I pray.
Nice. Who finds routine comforting? Like Olivia was just talking about a routine. Yes, certain routines that you have are actually very comforting, because then you know exactly what is going to come next and what is going to come next, and that is relaxing and helpful, especially At night when it's going to time for bed, when it's quiet, routine is excellent because it gets our mind in a routine and it relaxes us. Cole.
I have a comment.
Yes.
It's about chickens.
Of course.
My friend, he has 4 chickens. He lives right next to me, and I'm gonna see him after school today.
Do you get to eat any of the chicken's eggs?
Yeah, he always gives me like a dozen eggs.
Nice. I don't know. I think they're much more beautiful. I don't know if they taste a whole lot different. The yolks are a lot oranger. I mean, I think they're richer. I think they have a better flavor because they are taken care of and fed really good food. My sister-in-law has tons of chickens, and they're beautiful eggs. Some are green, some are blue, some are they're beautiful. They're like Easter eggs, but they're not. I mean, they're regular eggs. Emma. Emma. Yes, that sounds like a cheer. Go. That's when you turn your computer off.
I would throw it out my window.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you turn the electronics off. When they start making creepy sounds, then they're gone. Goodbye.
Let's just say my friends will get mad.
All right, a couple more questions, and then we're out. This class went really fast. M.
It's about cows.
Love cows.
My cousin, she lives on a farm, and we don't have to buy most of our meat because they just give it to us.
Nice. But we're not talking about where cows. Cows just come from the grocery store. Meat comes from the grocery store. Cows do not come from the grocery store. They live on a farm. Well, that'd be an interesting grocery store.
Yeah.
All right. This is what I'm going to have you do. We are done with language arts.